is Callie K. Cool Weaver with Thoughts at Midnight Podcast. We have our co-host,
Alex Hodge. How's it doing?
Now, we were just talking about some things that we thought would be good for our introduction. We were talking about having that, my idea of psychotic breakdown is a lot different from what other people's are. Alex, if you want to catch them up to speed.
Yeah, so what we were just talking about, what we were talking about earlier is how a lot of people like, you, Callie, and people that are like-minded like that just screw what the society has to say about us. And Callie's point of view on that, you and me as well, is that I have a theory about that because China,
update them on belief first.
You what?
Update
Go ahead
them
and roll with that. Go ahead and roll with that, Callie. So what we were talking about earlier was you're like, screw it. I mean, I'm me. I'm an individual. Callie, you are you. You're an individual. Screw what society has to say about that as a whole. That doesn't make sense to us. Screw it. We are who we are. Callie, and I, leading into what I have a theory about that as to, like, in China, ancient China, who were considered the rebels and who were kind of like judged by society there, and you know who they are now today? They're the Buddhists. They're the monks. They're the ones that are most connected to the world, spiritually and mentally and physically. Well, they started out as rebels, fools. They were considered outcasts from the Chinese society. Well, for the most part, but now they've integrated. I think Alan Watts calls it not a bodhisattva or something like that. It's someone who goes into the mental ecstasy, but then comes back with something to provide to the world, which is what we're doing. This is actually what we're doing now. We have an insight into what it's like to have a mental break, and to come out of that knowing that, hey, I'm myself. I don't have to, you can say what you want about me. Merry Christmas. I have things that I can choose to listen to or not to. It's me. Go ahead, Callie.
So, my idea was to go into the depths, the darkest depths of my mental psyche, the darkest, the most vulnerable, and completely lose myself for a little bit, but have it controlled, have it under a planned, if things start to go bad, I know what to do. But have it planned so that when I come back, I learn something. I bring something from that. I'm not molded by what society thinks or what society wants me, but I'm me. I'm molded to my own personal beliefs that are not what society has brainwashed us to think.
Where this conversation stemmed from earlier, before we started the podcast, was Callie took this test. It's a personality test, multifaceted personality test, and you were like 100% hysteria, and like 80%. Yeah,
hysteria.
You have it there. Hysteric, yeah, hysteria.
So it's a multi-phase personality test. I'll read my results real quick.
Yep.
I got 50% masculine identity, 56% feminine identity, 36% hypochondriac, 88% depression, 100% hysteria, 80% psychopathic deviate, 80% paranoia, 50% psychedemia, I guess, 85% schizophrenic, 75% hypomania, 70% social introversion, and 72% accuracy on how I was paying attention to the test.
Right on. And what Callie and I we were, and we were laughing about the 100%, and Callie, you were laughing the most about 100% hysteria. And I'm sitting back in the back of my mind going, she's glad about this. I mean, and I personally would be looking, I'm like, I got to do something about this. Something's wrong with this, right? Not Callie. Callie's here laughing away at it. She doesn't give a fuck. And I think good lesson learned here. We don't, I mean, that's kind of the healthiest way to go about it, other than what society and, the big pharma and doctors and these people in big pharma and psychiatrics. Callie, you are embracing it, and I think that's a healthy way to go about it, I find that very fascinating.
By fighting it, you're not helping it. You're not learning. You're just existing. Mm-hmm. By really understanding the depth of it, that's where you can learn something about yourself and move forward and grow.
Yep. I have some inhibitions. I do. Because I would look upon that and go, man, fuck that. I got to do something about that, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of going, that's so me. It's like I have, I was thinking about this earlier, and, it's hard to believe what we can't accept. It's hard to put belief into things that we can't accept.
I have a very open mind. It's very easy for me to accept pretty much everything.
So you're high in trait openness.
Yeah.
You're very, very, probably 100% high in trait openness in the Ocean personality test. I wanted to get into the Massey principles because I got some. I went from knowing nothing about the sport to now I'm actually going to be volunteering to train others up in the sport. I'm talking about skiing.
Yeah.
Of course, it's that time of year, and like how I went from nothing, overweight, from that I went down and I lost weight over a year. Now I'm actually going to be coaching other skiers up in the program. I'm like, oh my goodness, how far gone am I? But in a good way. That's in a good way. But now, what I've found out, what I know about, is something to watch out for when you're coaching, and I think this is especially something to look out for if you're an educator. To teachers out there who are in the education system, you may notice that, say if you have a classroom of 20 students, right? These days that's a pretty average sized class. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you got a graph of the grading of the year, and normally you see like these little graphs starting to go up and up and up and up and up over as the year goes on, right? These are all the students and their averages are going up, right? However, usually it is the case where you will see there's a graph that goes up like this, and there's one or two or three, about like, let's say like 4 students out of the are going like this. Now they're starting to go down. And I asked a question to those educators, and even in myself, what would you do about that? If you have like 5 students where here's week 6, they ain't getting it. I'm in it for those guys. I'm in it for those skiers.
So your question as to what we would do about that,
stragglers, yeah.
Yes. We were having this conversation earlier, and I explained that what I would do is I would do one-on-one tutoring with those students or those people who are interested in this sport. One-on-one tutoring, if something's going on in their personal life and they're ready to share about it, I'm not going to push. But if they're ready to share about it, then we can talk. We can get whatever's going on out there. But if they're not ready, then, I can work with them one on one on how to better help them succeed.
Yeah, and I think this needs to be done. Things like that need to be done not just in coaching, but especially in educating, and even economists. They're like economists has something for them to watch out for too, because we have a cradle distribution of people going up, right? But then there's some that are still poor, and they don't know what to do, right? It's like, but back to what the skiers are like. The athletes that, and I would, what if they don't know? Like, okay, so then I have another theory. Maybe there's something that they're missing from me that they might catch from, say, a skier that just, or some of the athletes that are just getting it. They're just getting it, and they're starting to go up. Not now. I wouldn't send the top skier. I think even if he's motivated to help them and coach and help them out too, I wouldn't give him the assignment of the ones affected by the master principle. Here's why. Because here's what we're thinking. If I'm someone that's, and I've been there, I've been on the bottom of hierarchies before, where I didn't click. I wouldn't want some blonde hair, blue-eyed, muscular jock, pretty Aryan boy. Yes, that was very politically incorrect, but political correctness is a manifestation of lack of self-esteem. Yes, thank you, Dan Pena, of QLA, if anyone wants to follow QLA, by the way. Then I wouldn't want that helping me, because here's what I'm thinking. I don't believe, for one, I don't believe. Two, I believe, this punk, he's got something that I don't. Well, I'm here to say wrong. Because when you're thinking like that, you're only thinking in this one slice of time. You're making the wrong comparison. Because there might come a time where he goes over his peak. He's not as good as he used to be. But here you come. You're coming up the board. As being on the bottom, from the bottom to the top. But you got to work hard at it, though. That's why I want to see hungry athletes. I want to see them hungry. I want to see them be able to actually want this, and go have fun with it. But I think you can only really have fun at something like that if you have some level of competence at it. And I'm here to say, I think anyone, if they're hungry enough for it, they can get it. I used to weigh almost 300 pounds. I know, and I don't have the answers. There's some people that it's like I don't really have an answer for, and that's why I'm thinking, instead of sending some jock to help, send some of the other kind of athletes that are just now clicking, some of the other students, or even in an education system, the ones that are willing to help these little stragglers, the math, then they'll spiral each other upwards. They can, and it clicks better. You can relate to someone who just got it versus, say, some super jock who already has it. What do you think, Callie?
I think that getting somebody that's roughly around the level of the person that you are trying to teach, but has some intel, some insight, is a very good way to go. Because, as you said, you're not going to want someone that, has it all teaching you when you're down at nothing. You're zero.
On week 4, by the way.
Exactly.
Something, yeah.
You're not getting it. So what's going to what makes people think that some skiing know-it-all is going to, be able to, they're going to see that and they're going to see, man, like, they know it all. Like,
and I think the same thing applies to not just skiing, but there's a lot of things that this applies to. Economics. Economics is a big one. How rich or poor someone is, they, this applies in that area. I think this concept applies in economics, and people's situations, Now, the ones that are at the top, I love the ones that are actually willing to help everyone out, down and up the board. One of these economic enterprises that's doing that right now is PHP. Now, we're not sponsored by PHP, but I would like to bring them up anyway on here, just real quick. They are a life insurance firm, like their brokerage. They not just life, but medical insurance as well. How do I? There we go. And they have the big event in. Let's see here. These guys. So this is PHP. These are some of the people that are at the top of their economic game, but they're the ones that are willing to help out people at the bottom. Like these are the ones, these are the coaches that, these are some of the people and some of the crew that are trying to do that. Help out with the Matthew effect. Hopefully succeeding at it. You know, I'm hoping to see some people that continue to learn. You know. So anyway, back to skiing and coaching that. I'm just super excited about doing this. It's coming up tomorrow, by the way, so wish me luck. And I'm in it for those guys, the ones that are at like the, yeah. God bless them. They're the ones that with the intervention, then they start to come up. And then they come quick. Like once it happens, you learn quick once that happens. Um, Yeah, I remember when reading. I actually remember when reading first clicked for me. I could finally read a document. I'll never forget. It took me a long time, but I didn't start reading until like third grade. I wasn't literate until third grade.
I didn't write my first essay like type. I was a very poor writer when all the way up until eighth grade when I actually got into writing for the first time. And it was such a startling and sudden development that my mom actually cried over my essay. Like, no joke.
It was
Like,
that good. Oh, and she really, yeah, she really liked that.
well, it wasn't just that. It was the fact that it showed how much growth that I was capable of. You know, it was sudden. Like, I had
Isn't that
so
something?
much help on it.
Yeah.
But,
And all of a sudden, like it just, you
hmm
know, you're like this for so long, and then all of a sudden,
yep. Now, look, I'm writing a blog and
yeah. And I'm
writing
reading.
books.
And I'm the other way around. Like I'm reading, I'm telling stories. I'm not as good of a writer, but I'm reading well. I'm comprehending things well, and better than I ever could. But I remember the first time too when it finally clicked. And there's something I wonder if that has a lot to do with the brain and how well we take care of ourselves. You know because and also with childhood development because there's parts of your brain that don't switch on until say some people might be later than others, you know. And I'll never forget it. Once it clicked, it's like, oh my goodness, I can. I was reading, I think fourth grade. I was reading like pre prehistoric ecology and like just pages of like what things were like in nature in like when mammoths roamed the earth. You know, I was reading that kind of stuff. And these are like long documents of and information about how like sinkholes in North America and there was the ice, you know, the glacial ice age was causing these sinkholes to form in like other areas of right, which don't know, which they don't have sinkholes there anymore because you know there's not a geological event that happens in these areas anymore, but it did back then during, and I'm like, you know, I'm reading all this and it's another world has unlocked for me. And I think as we get old, as I'm getting older, I know that some of those worlds I don't have access to anymore. You know, like some of those worlds that I've unlocked then, but now I don't have access to them. I don't game as well as I used to, right? I don't play video games as well as I used to. But now I'm an athlete. Like I'm an athlete now, so those are picked up on since something else is unlocked in my brain and my body. So
Mhm.
I find that fascinating. And Callie, you as well. You've had things unlock and lock up and down the way.
My writing, some traits though, some things that I used to really enjoy is uh like reading. I've kind of lacked on that. Lacked on it. So sometimes certain skills can go down if you don't keep up with them. But the things that have gone up definitely are like my writing, my getting better with gaming, getting better with my psychology stuff.
Yeah. I actually just found a bloop. Speaking of things that, um, oh yeah, I think I may have mentioned this before on another podcast. That blueprint I had of that adaptive camouflage, the adaptive camouflage costume that I made. Callie, you all
Sorry.
right? You spaced out. You totally spaced out there for a moment. What were you looking at?
My dad actually just texted me. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Everything all right?
Yeah. So anyway, you were saying?
I was just, it's so funny. I was actually just watching on YouTube this morning about the the brain, how the brain works on ADHD. So how about that?
No way you were just talking about that.
No, I wasn't talking about that before.
Because that's a prime example.
Oh, golly, that's great. But I really was watching that. I had a conversation with one of our contractors one time, our regulars at where I work, and we were actually just talking about that, about what. And I also have another mentee that I was talking to. His name's Nick, a new, probably possible new friend of mine as well. Aaron introduced me to him, and we got to know each other a little bit. I talked to him, and he talked a little bit about he's got kind of the same things as someone that we know, anger, blackout, ADHD for sure, and had rough experience with women,
Mhm.
uh, and as I talked to him a little bit about my theory about ADHD. It's not really a theory. I think it pretty much works for anybody. I don't think it's just a theory. It works. Where I asked him, okay, so what can you engage in that you like doing, and how long are you engaging in that thing, or even with somebody, with a person?
Mhm.
How long are you engaged in? And I asked him, first thing I asked him was, what are you interested in? What are you really into? And he said, well, it was World of Warcraft. Okay, so he's one of those 90s babies that was, or 2000s babies that was brought up in the middle of World of Warcraft. Okay, so World of Warcraft, and then I asked him, how long are you engaged on that? He said, yeah, like an hour, 2 hours, yeah. Is
Yeah,
that
I can
that
eat for two
ADHD?
hours straight.
Is that attention deficit? Mm-mm. That's not an attention deficit. You are fully paying attention to what you're doing on that thing, right? It's not, by the way, teachers of old, it's not an attention span issue. It's an interest issue. But
It
what,
really
what
is.
then I told them what needs to be trained on that is the muscle of being able to do stuff that suck that you're not interested in, but yet would be better if you do them. And there's a payoff that's good if you do them, but they're just not interesting. They're not you're regarding it as trivial, like cleaning up your room, or mowing the lawn, or going to work on time, having a schedule, having a routine set up. Okay, you're kind of regarding these things as trivial. Now your sleep balance is all messed up. Your habits are right, but you can stay engaged in attention to this for a couple hours, right? So what needs to be trained here is the ability to callous, to toughen, the ability to go through things that we're not interested in, and then reward ourselves with things that we're actually interested and engaged in. I like that. I like to exercise that because yeah, it sucks. But I turned it around. It's like, okay, this stinks, but I'm gonna crush this thing and actually pay attention to it. Turn off distractions. This is actually why one of the reasons I go dark on my phone, by the way. I'll shut everything down and nobody can reach me. I don't want any distractions. So what I'm doing is I might be out doing something that sucks.
Give me a sec.
Okay, yeah. So I might be out doing yeah, right? It's do it, yeah, right? I might be out doing sucks. I appreciate that, Callie, by the way.
Speaking of ADHD.
You appreciate that too. Isn't it
Totally
great?
called me out.
The power to just shut this off and focus on something, you know. But I like to. One of the ways that I do this is that I train this is, God, it sucks. People are like, oh my God, Alex, why? That's a lot of exercise. Is that I exercise like a madman sometimes. Not very often. Now, sometimes I will engage in mindfulness like a madman, right? Where I have no distractions, but I'm actually just sitting there, like allowing what's called my default mode network in the brain to manifest. It's when we're doing nothing, and just watching where we go with that, versus our task-oriented brain neural pathways where we're engaged in something. So sometimes I will give the engaging part of it a break and meditate for a while. And like you said, Callie, that's one of the ways that I guess you could say I intermittently have my mental break where I'll take off the masks and sit there and
Not stage the incense.
Huh?
Do you still do the incense?
I have one go. I actually have one burning right now on the other side there. Yep.
Yay!
I got some new ones from the Sleeping Tiger.
Ooh, what scent is it?
So the morning, I do one in the morning called Leather.
Okay.
Wake up and smell the leather.
Pick me
And I
up.
put one at night called Pussy.
What?
Pussy. Yes, that's the name of the scent. Pussy. I don't think it's referring to that.
God, Alex!
But I swear, it's definitely soothing. I don't know. It definitely. I guess you could say it gives off a little bit of that vibration. It's like, it's relaxing. It's like I'm with somebody. Huh?
What does it actually smell like?
How best to describe it? It's like
Nothing fishy,
like
right?
like a soft natural perfume in a way. I don't know how best to describe it. It doesn't really smell.
Okay.
Yeah, it's similar to the leather one.
Okay.
It's softer. It's softer and got a little bite to it. Yeah. Whereas the leather just hits you. That's like you wake up and you smell the leather in like a Rolls Royce car. Right? One of those rich.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Think about another word that you can call a softie.
Pussy.
Mm-hmm. It's softer. It's a softer scent.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, well.
Wow, this is definitely going under explicit.
But yeah, but the leather one, I'm gonna go. I'll bring it right back to the leather. Anyway. The leather one though, where I got the idea to get that one was I was listening to Dan. I was listening to QLA, and he talks about going places that you're uncomfortable going to. They're kind of way out of your price range, but don't pay for it. Just go there. Just go there and smell the leather. So what?
I have to say something just as a mental note. I
Okay.
have to look up to see if they have any incense that have pheromones. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do too. They have soaps.
That's gonna be my next. I'm gonna look into that.
No, I thought of it first.
We can look into it too. You can afford it. You can afford it, right? All right. So, but this idea, I love the idea. This is actually why I got leather and pussy, because I got leather in the morning and pussy at night, right? These are the two scents. Yes, Callie, you are fucking loving this. You wake up and you smell the leather, and what that means in context is you wake up like you're waking up in a millionaire's house, like leather seats, Rolls Royce leather seating in the car. You wake up and it kind of does smell like leather. It does have that scent to it in this incense. And then at night I'll burn the other one. Yeah.
So you turn
Plus,
into a pussy at night.
no, definitely not. Actually, you know what? No, I do. You know, I'm a real softie at night.
Aw.
They say I
That's
twitch.
genuine.
So
Aw.
they say I twitch every now and then. So
No, no, no. I got a story for you after
okay,
this podcast.
okay, all right, rock and roll.
It's a little explicit, so
All right, so
sorry to the audience.
yeah, hey, screw it,
Screw it.
screw it. Yeah, this is Toss at Midnight Talk Show. You know what? There are, Callie, we need to get out more.
No, so the night me and my fiance spent together, I had never had this issue before that night.
I don't
So
let it get too explicit now.
it's
Keep some
not.
of
It's not.
that
So
ain't kiss and tell.
the night we spent together, he twitches in his sleep, like his legs, his arms, it's just sudden twitching movement. And ever since that night, that has been happening to me, like sudden jerking, sudden twitching of my legs. And it's like, that was so weird because it was like it was contagious or something.
Notice it though at night.
What?
You notice it because I have the same symptom.
Right before I fall asleep. I know I'm about to fall asleep when my muscles start jerking.
Oh yeah, because you feel like you're gonna fall. You ever get
Oh,
that?
it's just like my muscle gets really tight and then it just jerks and then stops.
Huh? Yeah.
It's like, it's just a literal jerk and that's it. And it happens to one leg and then the other leg. And it's weird. It's happened ever since that night, but it had never happened before that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, our ancestors, we slept in trees, right? So usually, I think that twitch is like an ancestral memory system or something, right? Because it's wired into us to.
Make sure we don't fall.
Anyway, so anyone who gets that sense where you're about to fall asleep and you do that.
Exactly.
Yep. So that's um, yeah, that's what because our ancestors slept in trees, so we would grab the tree so we don't fall.
Just wait until we have another night together. We're both going to be twitching, and I'm going to irritate him, and he's going to irritate me. I'm going to kicked off the bed and move to the couch, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be me.
Oh man, I lost that battle a couple times. I went to the guest bedroom. I was like, man. Wake up the next morning, it's like,
Yeah.
she's right. She's right there, and it's like.
When I spent the night, one of his family members in the morning, I'm not going to say who due to
No,
privacy.
don't say names.
Anyway, she's all like, oh, thank God you're not going to spend another night because I cannot stand that awful snoring. Remember how loud I used to snore?
I don't, but
Yeah. I snore so loud. My parents have this huge house. I could be downstairs in the basement and they could be upstairs in their room. You remember how big that house was?
Mhm.
Well, they can still hear me snoring.
That actually brings me to this. There's here it is. Let me share my screen here because I think
Okay.
I actually would like to get one of these sometime. I might order it.
Like,
So this is for your jawline, your face, and it's what you do is that you bite down on it and you kind of just up and down motion. You chew on it, right?
and it shakes your jaw, probably.
For your face, yeah. Here we go. It's something like that, but I think it's this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So it's for your jawline. Because I have TMJ, so I wonder if this might help.
Does your jaw pop too?
Yep.
Yeah, my jaw used to pop. Somehow it corrected itself. Younger.
But I think this can help with snoring, help your airway, help your breathing, but it also can help like drain some of the build up in your face and stuff over time. In your face. Yeah. So I don't know, something to look into. There's another product out there. I'm like, maybe we can maybe get some sponsorship. Who knows?
Nope.
Come on, we can get some sponsorship or something, right? I'm not sure how to go about doing that, but at least not yet. But
I can do some research.
yeah. So yeah. Call them up or
We have
something.
to get more followers though. So anyone who wants to follow us.
Thoughts at Midnight Talk Show, also our blog. What is it called now, Callie? Because it changed a couple times.
The website is still www.thoughtsatmidnighttalkshow.wordpress.com. It's been the same.
So isn't it a day to be me now?
Yes, but the URL got kind of deleted when
Like